All right, big breaking news just moments ago. Victoria Tunsing, she is the attorney for the Uranium One informant, is confirming to this show tonight that, in fact, the FBI is investigating the Clinton Foundation. And meanwhile, Democrats are doing everything they can do to try and discredit. Remember the informant? They are selectively leaking information to their friends in the left-wing media. Now, we also have other breaking news from the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. He was on last night with our own Shannon Bream, and he said that he is seriously now considering appointing a second special counsel. Tick-tock, watch this.
Well, I have great respect for Mr. Gowdy and Chairman Goodlatte, and we're going to consider seriously their recommendations. I have appointed a person outside of Washington, many years in the Department of Justice, to look at all the allegations that the House Judiciary Committee members sent to us, and we're conducting that investigation. Also am well aware that we have a responsibility to ensure the integrity of the FISA process. We're not afraid to look at that.
This is huge news. Joining us with reaction, he is the chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice and the attorney to the President of the United States, Jay Sekulow. I want to go back, Jay, if I may, over these comments. He said that in this interview last night, I've appointed a person outside of Washington, many years at the Department of Justice, looking at the allegations that the House Judiciary Committee members sent us, and we are conducting that investigation. And he stated he is well aware we have a responsibility to ensure the integrity of the FISA process. This is a huge development.
It is, Sean, and I think the important part to focus on here is that the Attorney General said he's already appointed someone with a lot of experience outside of Washington, D.C., but a lot of experience within the Department of Justice, who is already conducting an investigation. That investigation, in all probability, is a determination being reviewed as to whether, in fact, that special counsel, as has been requested by the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, has been called for by members of the United States Senate, has been called for by Trey Gowdy. You and I have been talking about it for a long time. So what's happened right now is it looks like the Department of Justice has appointed someone with a lot of experience to make the determination, or at least make advice as to the determination as to whether a special counsel should be appointed for this precise situation, especially as it relates to the FISA abuse, which is such a big scenario.
Jay, my sources at the Department of Justice, they've been very clear that, in their view, I disagree with it. I think we have there is enough evidence that we know now that would warrant and justify a special counsel. But the feeling has been we got to wait for the IG report to come out. Then, of course, DOJ attorneys have to look at it. Then they would consider the appointment of a special counsel. It seems, unbeknownst to all of us, that Jeff Sessions was doing a lot more than any of us knew.
Yeah, and, you know, we've talked about that before. Where the public doesn't always know what the Department of Justice is doing internally. Remember, according to the regulations here, the Department of Justice has a process that they go through in reviewing as to whether a special counsel should be appointed. Now, you've got to have an issue of criminality. You have to have an issue of conflict of interest. I think in both of those situations, as it relates to the FISA investigation, it warrants a special counsel. And it appears that what Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, has done, has started that process of internal review that, by the way, could dual track with the Inspector General. They're not mutually exclusive. It's not one or the other. But of course, the special counsel has a deeper ability to talk to witnesses outside of the existing Department of Justice personnel, which is one of the limitations imposed on an Inspector General. So I think this is significant. I think it's significant for the rule of law, and especially when you're talking about a FISA situation, which was based on a unverified or salacious, in the words of James Comey, dossier. That dossier information was leaked to the press, that the individual, Christopher Steele, who put that dossier together, was involved with Bruce Orr, the number 4 at the Department of Justice wife, as far as she was working for Fusion GPS. I mean, you just start putting these together, and then, of course, he ultimately gets fired, Chris Steele, because he leaked the information to the press. Now, did they tell that to the court in the FISA warrant? I suspect not. But again, this goes to the point that you have FISA courts are very serious. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Yeah, you have to have procedures in place to protect the American people, and that's what this special counsel needs to be looking at. The
FISA law is very clear. FBI protocols are very clear that they have a legal, moral, ethical, even by their own standards, obligation to verify and corroborate any materials that are sent before a FISA court. It seems to me there are a lot of issues in play here. An exoneration before an investigation, months before. That is unheard of. Secondly, if you have...
Also, witnesses were given, Sean, witnesses were given immunity in that situation.
And what happened to their computers?
Well, wait a minute. Witnesses weren't even interviewed. I mean, as far as when that report, when the draft of the report that was put together, and remember this, Andrew McCabe said that they would not have even sought the FISA warrant without the Christopher Steele dossier. And then, think about this. James Comey goes to the President-elect of the United States and tells the President-elect of the United States that there's dossiers out there, but it's salacious and unverified. Meanwhile,
well, here's a
he already
question
utilized it to obtain a FISA warrant. That warrant was renewed.
But this is the point. The FISA warrant, it was unverified. They didn't follow the FISA law. They didn't file the FBI protocols. James Comey allowed it to happen. They never told the judge that it was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton. That's lying by omission. And then he tells Donald Trump just before he's inaugurated, oh, it's salacious and unverified. But they're telling a court in October. They're putting all the faith and credibility of their department on this.
Yeah, but also remember this. They also renewed it, was it the day before the inauguration, based on the same information. So what you have here is the reason, we just stated the case for why a special counsel should be appointed, and I believe that's what's going to happen.
All right, Jay Sekulow, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.